Okay, so
everyone. Yeah, Thomas, and first and foremost, very, very thank you to you for leading this session on, high level leadership. This is always a topic which is always close to our heart, because when you talk about such an ambitious movement, it's like driving the clean tech decade together. I think it really shows that we're not only talking about something which is short term or medium term, we're actually looking at a real long term perspective of the sector. And I think the kind of leadership which you have been able to successfully, get them on board, it's really great. And I think this is a session which we had during our previous virtual expo also. So this also shows that, there is a long way to go when it comes to all the leaders, who have joined us from the many multiple disruptive technology industries, whether it's the fintech or it's the artificial intelligence or the blockchain, but we are actually, bringing tomorrows of the world today, and that's where we see that it's a session which is not only futuristic, it also something which is so important to a country like India. So Thomas, over to you. And I just, on behalf of Team REI, let me welcome everyone. And I'm sure, the next 60 minutes is going to be extremely crucial, and we'll get richer after the 60-minute session. Thomas, over to you, and please drive it for us. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, dear Rajnish. Let me share my screen. I hope that you can see the screen. Yes, right now. Yes. So as we always say in our club, together we are stronger. And since I think 6 or 7 years, we are cooperating with Renewable Energy India Expo and with Informa Markets on bringing the leaders together. And today we have the opportunity to bring the leaders together online. Yes, so today we have the session, high leadership session, where we bring leaders of different clean tech sectors, but also disruptive technologies. And tomorrow we bring financial and energy storage sector together. So maybe we can still wait a few minutes for additional speakers to come, then I will make an introduction. And in the meantime, I would like to just show a very short video, just that you understand our spirit.
Clean Tech and Business Club leaders gathered in Dubai with the leaders of financial and investor communities, but also political decision makers, to explore opportunities related to exponential growth of solar, battery storage, electric vehicles, hydrogen, smart energy, and other clean technologies.
Right now, you need to party. Make yourself rise up and walk away from things that's keeping you down. Yeah, you need to party till the sun rise up. Another day for you to change things around. Every day of sunshine.
During the next months, we will unite over 1,200 leaders on all continents to reinforce human-to-human relationship and work hand in hand on financial instruments and business models to scale up clean tech investments from billions to trillions while shaping the future today.
Every day of sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Every day of every day of
and we will make it by combining business with meaningfulness and joy. Thumbs up for solar.
You deserve attention when you walk into the room. Your smile lights me up like the night from the moon. Don't let no one tell you that you're not beautiful, 'cause true beauty lies inside of.
Okay, so who we are? So basically, our club is a private and independent human-to-human leadership network that brings trusted leaders from the clean tech sector, from the financial sector, from the corporations, but also political decision makers and public opinion influencers who are supporting clean tech movement. And we really believe in the power of united DNA, and I name it human-to-human blockchain, yes? And together with our partners, our friends, we would like to anticipate, shape, and drive the clean tech decade. Because what we believe that during this clean tech decade, we practically will change the paradigm of the world. And the same will apply to India, of course, yes. And I think that India has a big opportunity to become one of the leaders of this clean tech decade. That's why we organized today's meeting. And as you saw, we are very active in India, and personally, I'm very pleased always to come to India because I respect the family values and also the relationship values in the country. And here you can see leaders of our club in India. So Mr. Popley, Mr. Pranav Mehta, Mr. Hitesh Doshi, Dr. Rashi Gupta, Mr. Gautam Samanta, Mr. Amit Jain, and also Mr. Rush from TILA, and Sunil Dayal from World Bank. And yes, I have a good news because we will have our official office in New Delhi, which will be hosted by TILA. And now I would like us to go to the session. Let me just double check who is already in the room and who is still missing. Right. Okay. So Mr. Hitesh is also here. Two speakers, I think, will join us a bit later. So I will start very shortly with the introduction of our speakers and the sectors that they represent. So I would like to welcome Mr. Popley, who is advisor to International Solar Alliance and former CMD of Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, and in our club is a honorary co-chair for India. Mr. Pranav Mehta, he will not join us today, but because he's in the United States, but he's one of the longest friends here in India, and we are always working hand in hand together. And today he's represented, and also the organization, National Solar Energy Federation of India, is represented by Mr. Subramanian Kulipka, basically by Subu, yes? Then I would like to welcome Dr. Hitesh Doshi, chairman of WARI Group. And I'm really pleased that, Mr. Hitesh is our co-chair for Asia and also chair for India, as he owns the biggest solar manufacturing company in India, now also active in other aspects, not only manufacturing, but also in EPC, in the projects, entering now to energy storage business, also working in the financial sector for implementation of solar. So I'm really pleased, and also he's a big networker on the global level. I would like to welcome also Mr. Prashant Banerjee, Executive Director of SIAM, which is Society of Indian Automotive Manufacturers. And I'm especially pleased that together with us, we have today representatives of the automobile sector, yes, because the transformation of the world, of course, cannot happen without working together with energy sector and with the transportation sector. We have a lot of common topics. Tomorrow we'll discuss the topics of energy storage, and energy storage also is driven by, was driven and will help energy sector thanks to the transportation, the storage in transportation. I would like to welcome Raj Kapoor, founder and CEO of India Blockchain Alliance, and he's a mentor of startups, and he's very active in all the blockchain and fintech space. And I'm very happy because I believe that this whole transformation will happen not only thanks to the existing business models, financial models, but also thanks to the new business models and financial models. And I really, I'm looking forward to working together with the fintech and blockchain guys. And let me welcome also Mr. Jami Hussein. So we met last year at our e-convention. Mr. Jami Hussein is the person in wind in the country, and not only in the country, but he's also very active on the international level. So I would say that he's one of the most recognized leaders in the wind sector worldwide. I would like to also welcome Mr. Gauvar Kumar Kedia, who is the chairman of Indian Biogas Association, and Mr. Reji Kumar Pillai from India Smart Grid Forum, and also chairman at Global Smart Energy Federation. Yes, so I believe that the whole transformation will happen thanks to building the smart system, not only for the energy but also for transportation. And I would like to welcome Mr. Monish Ahuja, who is the chairman of Confederation of Biomass Energy Industry of India. And also Debbie Prasad Dash, also our friend, who is executive director at India Energy Storage Alliance. So let me just. So I would like to give now the floor. So just from the Cleantech Business Club perspective, we are very proud because we checked actually online on Google. So this is the first ever in history worldwide meeting of leaders of cleantech organizations from all the sectors, and also bringing disruptive sectors. So actually with today's meeting, we are building the history of the future history, I would say. And I would like to thank you once again, Warni Rush, for giving your platform to make this historical event happen. So I would like to now give a floor first to Mr. Poppy, our honorary co-chairman of this event, and later to Mr. Hitesh, just to tell you from Indian perspective why we organized this event today. So welcome, Mr. Poppy.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. It's a great to be here once again, and I would first like to welcome all the participants and all the leaders. And it is Mr. Thomas' vision that he had brought all these sectors together under one roof, and saying it a club means a lot. I mean, you feel much comfortable contacting and driving contacts with one another, because see, we will be putting in 450 gigawatt by 2030. We have to reach a net zero target. A huge amount of renewable energy has to be integrated. It will not be only through solar and wind. You require other sectors like battery storage, smart grid, blockchain, electric vehicles. All these sectors will play a very, very important role. And it is not for this decade, but maybe next 3-4 decades, this transition will continue. If you have to decarbonize the whole sector, the whole economy, then green hydrogen becomes much more important to help in decarbonizing maybe the shipping sector, the aviation sector. If you have to decarbonize the fertilizer sector, the steel sector, these new technologies will become important. We will need experts from hydrogen, nanotechnology, IT, robotics. All these, if they are all together and we meet, I mean, not once a year, but maybe little more, we can play a much more active role, not only in India, but outside India as well. And this is a global organization under Thomas. He keeps meeting global leaders. Also, what is going to happen is the huge amount of energy that countries like Africa, the next decade also belongs to them, because there the energy, they will be, their per capita consumption is going to go up. And we need to also work with them to see that decarbonization, or they work on green technologies. So the financing would again be a big challenge. I see not many finance players here, financial sector, large funds need to be included more in this club. And that will be a challenge. Even financing batteries is a challenge, because you don't work out with it will not be easier for bankers to find out business, understand the business models, how the financing happens in these sectors. So those challenges would be there, but I think the technology is solving a lot of challenges, and a huge amount of investment will be required, and we all have to work together. And platforms like this definitely will help the economy, will help the countries to move towards final goal of net zero emissions by maybe 2050 or 2060. Some countries have already accepted the target. Some countries will take longer time because they feel thermal will still remain there. And also, we will have to work on those sectors as well. I mean, whether it is you work on washeries coal, or supercritical boilers, although the financing there has stopped in large number of countries, but still, like, maybe something is happening in India as well as in China, which are one of the largest emitters. We need to work on that, and that will happen once the costs have come down here drastically for solar and wind. Similarly, for battery storage, the prices are coming down, making it much more viable. Similarly, the green hydrogen prices are likely to come down. The electrolyzer costs will come down as more and more investments happen in this sector. And I think it will be much easier and smoother to move towards a greener economy, wherein you will reach that net zero target, which is the final goal globally. And we are all here. I think we have all experts here. We would like to hear them one after the other. And I stop here because everybody knows this very well. And I will not like to take more time. You have a sectoral experts here. We would like to hear from them. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. And I think we should be meeting more often, sectorally as well as all together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Popli. And I think that you are the proof also that human-to-human relationship in India is so important, because everybody knows you, yes, in the country.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me give a floor now to Mr. Hitesh Doshi, who is a chairman and founder of REI, but in our club, he's a co-chair for Asia and chair in India. So, dear Hitesh, so why we are here, and why do you think this kind of relationship on the personal level is so important? You are also a member of a lot of business clubs in the country. You founded some of the business clubs. You work with a lot of leaders. So I would like to give the floor to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Thomas, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining this meeting. I think this is a very good initiative Thomas has introduced. Probably we all are working in one direction, one mission, clean energy and the green energy. But probably we do not have the opportunity to meet and know each other, or everybody is working in one group. Instead of all we come together, and maybe we specialize and we continue to be in our association. But at least sometime in a year, if we can meet and exchange our thoughts, and this will help a lot, in my opinion, not for the individual business, but the entire goals and mission for what we have been doing in our business or in our association together. So I think this is very important, and this is very good start, Thomas, for doing this. I'm sure this has given us the idea, probably when little bit it becomes a convenient for everyone, we have to meet together. Like Poplis have said that the country's plans, it may be a EV, or it is a storage, or it is a solar or wind, the plans are very big. And they all are related to each other. Even now, the government is coming up with their requirement or tenders or schemes where all these three things are covered together in one tender. So indirectly, this is becoming a one for the government, and same for us here. So thank you very much for bringing this idea. And I'm sure I'll find the opportunities to invite everyone. Sometime little bit this becomes easy in Delhi, and we should have a dinner together and let us meet and discuss further. So thank you very much.
So maybe also, Hitesh, you can organize some party in Mumbai, yes?
Yes, everybody likes Delhi because for all this new energy. I'm in Mumbai. I will love to do that.
Okay, so we can make two, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now I would like to ask other leaders for a short introduction of themselves and also of their organizations, and maybe which kind of challenges and opportunities you see during this clean tech decade from your perspective. And if you experience already any issues with contacting the other sectors, or maybe do you see anything that we can make together, and what are the overlapping things that maybe we can coordinate together? And also I would like to ask you, because for me it would be interesting also to learn how is this human-to-human relationship within your organizations, also on your leadership level. And as we are friends from the clean tech, from energy, but first time we have together with us also the car industry. And Mr. Prashant, who is one of the executive directors of the organization, I would like to ask you, maybe I would like to give first floor to you and ask you, how does it work in the car industry? And very interesting, because car industry is quite conservative in the past, yes? And now everybody is going towards electric cars. So actually, I believe that a lot of guys in the car industry are quite stressed, yes, because they see they have just very short period now to switch from the, I would say, fossil cars towards electric cars. So how does it work, and how do you see, you know, this kind of relationship, how we can build this relationship together? So I give a floor to Mr. Prashant.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, CBC Leadership Club, and I'm very privileged, honored, and happy to be part of this very important assembling of the experts from diverse group, having a focus on sustainability, clean technology, and of course, clean environment. As far as SIAM goes, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, we are having 50-member vehicle manufacturers association. And I think globals, all who is who are part of our membership. And of course, we contribute more than 45% of manufacturing GDP. We have total GDP contribution around 7%. We employ more than 3.5 million people directly, indirectly on the sector. And also we do contribute in export GDP as well. So representing here, I'm very happy that transportation sector is using 99% of the gasoline and 70% of the diesel being consumed in the country. And also, if you look at this high percentage of consumption and energy demand, national priority point of view, we have three things in mind. Number one, energy security. Number two, the GHG reduction. And number three, the pollution, local pollution mitigation on a city. So you know that the number of cities figuring out of the total global list of polluted city, I think India contributes the maximum polluted cities. So therefore, the government of India's initiative to migrate towards electrification started in 2013, when the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan was conceptualized. And subsequently, that mission plan, 2013, resulted into 2015 first FAME-1 scheme being launched. And whatever learning of 2015 first FAME scheme, that is faster adoption of electric mobility in the country, resulted into initial pilot run, understanding how the electrification will happen of Indian vehicles. But subsequently, the FAME-2 was also launched, and FAME-2. Basically, FAME-2 had been not successful because of multiple reasons, because of COVID reasons, because of the reasons related to the kind of qualifying criteria we had set in, maybe the technology, challenges also, customer adaptability also. So there are multiple factors. I'll come to that later, how various government, particularly the state governments, are coming up with state-specific policies to support the electrification. As far as SIAM membership, views on the electrification of transportation goes in India, we have actually released white paper on electric vehicles. So as per the white paper on electric vehicle, we believe that first candidate for electrification in transportation would be actually the public segment vehicles. So when you look at buses, that will be getting electrified first. When you look at three-wheeler, which are essentially commercial, they will get electrified first. But the personalized segment will take a little longer time because of the return of investment issues. Because more the vehicle run, I think the ROI becomes justified better. So therefore, in our estimate, we believe that as per our SIAM white paper, 40% of the vehicle will get converted to electrification by 2030. So that is the kind of estimation we have done. And we are hopeful that the kind of support Government of India is trying to bring in, it is going to see more and more electrification in time to come. As far as the private vehicle electrification or choice will depend on largely on the infrastructure and availability and range anxiety if a customer can have some kind of assurance on. So as you know that Ministry of Power also had brought out a lot of many changes on the utility rules, and that has really helped in a big way. And the number of charging station, the kind of aggregation model is being worked out. I'm sure it is going to give impetus to the basically electrification. But the topic, today's topic, the greening of grid and its integration with the renewable is very, very important, because when we look at GHG and well-to-wheel point of view, I think with the 75% of power being generated with coal, I think we need to see that whatever 227 gigawatt of capacity we are talking about, out of that some 67 is wind and remaining 140 is solar. And if more and more greening happens, then the case becomes even more justified from the point of view of well-to-wheel. So local pollution mitigation, as in Delhi, for example, Supreme Court mandate all electric vehicles to be registered, is fine. So local pollution mitigation point of view, certain decisions are fine. But when it comes to complete GHG and our COP commitment point of view, yes, we would like to see that greening of the grid happens. Early it happens, better it is. And I'm sure that India is poised in a situation where we are able to contribute in a big way by solar, wind, and hydro renewable energy concepts. So I would like to stop here and then subsequently like to come in. Thank you.
So dear Prashant, just additional question about this human-to-human relationship. So in your organization, you are more based on this institutional relationships, or also the human-to-human relationship is so important?
No, I think no institution exists without human-to-human relations. So I think the networking and connecting with people and human-to-human relationship is a very essential part of the success of the organization of our kind. So I think we are very happy to have this kind of opportunity where, of course, here on this panel itself, Reggie, we work very closely. Many of the people present here are, for example, with Monish Ahuja, we are working very, very deeply on our bioenergy, biofuel, biosector. So we are very well connected with each one of the panelists present here. So it's a great opportunity. So it goes without saying that human-to-human is the essential part of our success story. Together we stand stronger is the best logo one can have.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like to now switch from electrical vehicles to wind energy sector. Yes, so wind, it was historically the first big renewable energy sector that came to the market together with big hydro. And actually, wind helped to revolutionize renewables at the beginning. Yes, and I would like to ask you, Jami, because you are active in the World Organization, Wind Association, you are active in other global organizations. I would like to ask you, so which kind of, how do you see the wind sector during this clean tech decade? And what will be the part of wind in the energy mix in the country? And also, how do you see this human-to-human relationship and how we can cooperate together?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. First of all, for inviting me to this very eminent group of people, the club that you say. And I thank you and thank everybody here. Also, Mr. Qatar, for inviting me here. As you said, the wind energy, has been one of the first technologies, which has been there. So I will talk about that. You see, in the very beginning, the takeoff of renewable energy, the beginning of the renewable energy started with wind energy, not only in India, but in every other country. And today we have something like 750 or 770 gigawatt of wind power installed all over the world. And we did come out with a report sometime in 2014, where we looked at the overall situation that will happen by 2050. And we called this report was a WWEA, World Wind Energy Association report, which we call the shape of grid or the shape of things to come by 2050. We did our own analysis, and we also looked at the secondary data from IEA, from other organizations, IRENA and other organizations. And based on that, we figured out that on a sort of a moderate scenario also, we should have by 2050 something like 9 terawatt of wind power, which is a very huge capacity, in fact, because today we have only 750 gigawatt, which is less than 1 terawatt. So if you look at that, that is the scenario which should be possible, because the way things are happening, particularly with the global warming and the concern it is going up, the CO2 emissions, I will briefly talk about global warming. Of course, all of you know. There is an index which is called the AGGI, which is the combined thing of all the greenhouse gas index. And it has changed from 1990 till today in 30 years from 1 to 1.47. So there has been a 47% increase in the concentration of all the AGG, all the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And for it to reach 1, it had taken 240 years. And from 1 to 47%, it just took 30 years. So we can figure out that what it will be in the next decades. So over the next 30 years, if you look at next 30 years, it will be almost like 2050. If we are not doing much to curtail the emissions, we will have something like 2 as the index, which is almost doubling from the 1990. And this translates into, global warming. It translates into temperature. We may have 3 degrees centigrade rise in temperature, which is very huge. And already there is something like 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade rise, which is almost taken place in many parts of the world. So this is going to drive renewable energy, and of course also wind energy. And the fact that you got all these people together here is the step in the right direction, because all these the renewable energy has expanded so much that it is no more one technology like solar or wind only. There are so many other parts to it, and so that's why you need to connect with different sectors, and they are all interconnected. For example, the wind is connected with it can do the hydrogen, and it can also do desalination. So as we expand our wind generation, we go into the grid, we increase the capacity within the grid, but also we look at many other areas where we can have a higher penetration. Now, coming to wind energy, the role it is going to play, we see that offshore is going to is taking off in a big way. So offshore is becoming big. It is not only becoming big in Europe, but it is also becoming big in slowly taking off in Asia. So in China, in Taiwan, in Korea, they are setting up offshore wind farms. There are also floating offshore wind farms, the large ones. And coming to onshore wind turbines, the size of the wind turbines is going to change. And there has been a growing trend that the turbines are going to increase in size. So today in India, we have something like 2.5 to 3 megawatt wind turbines which are set up on 130-meter tower with 132 or 135-meter rotor diameter. But because land is a constraint, and land is a serious constraint to renewable energy, we need land for every other thing. So we have to see how we optimize land. And to optimize land, we will have to scale up the size of individual devices, so whether it is wind or something else. So on less land, we must generate more power, because particularly wind turbines, these are also geographically spread out. So I think the future will see larger turbines, very large turbines also, maybe up to 10 megawatt. And this is essential for us to meet the target that we are talking about, 450 gigawatt in India of renewable energy, of which wind will be a major component. Because solar also takes land, and beyond a point you cannot have solar indefinitely. It takes a lot of land and covers the land area completely. So we have to find alternatives. So India will go into offshore, and the policies have been worked out by the government of India. And this is then going to be rolled out sooner or later in forms of tenders and things like that. On the onshore front, we would go in for larger wind turbines. That is the way forward. And that is one thing. Coming to the policy side, all the wind farms and the solar projects that are coming up in India, they are all under the SECI tenders today. What we call the SECI tenders. These are basically auctions from the government for very large capacity. So a single auction is about 1,000 megawatts or 1 gigawatt, and individual bids are around 200 megawatt. 50 megawatt is the minimum you can bid. To build such large projects, 200 megawatt, 250 megawatt, you have to bring in a lot of elements, and an important aspect of that again is land, and then the electricity grid, the connectivity, and all these things. For larger projects, it takes longer time to do this. So that's why we have today something like 96 gigawatt of renewable energy installed, out of which some 39 gigawatt is wind, and another 55 or 56 gigawatt is under construction, under implementation. And if we have to reach the initial target, which was set up by the government of 175 gigawatt by 2022, it seems a little difficult that we will achieve it in 2022. We may achieve it in 2024 or something like that. But then again, if you have to go for 450 gigawatt by, it was mentioned by the Honorable Minister that it should be by 2026, then we have to do something about this framework in which the installations happen. And here I think the government should also think of bringing in the small businesses and small SMEs, small and medium enterprises, because they can do smaller projects, but these smaller projects can happen fast. So if we do that, then we can achieve something like 5-6 gigawatt every year. So that will be quite significant change. So this is something, a sort of a recommendation from me to the government and to the other stakeholders also, that we should try to include MSMEs into the whole gamut of things. So I think I will stop here. I'll try to cover as many possible things as well here.
Okay, thank you so much, Dijani. And just before giving the floor to the next speaker, let me welcome Mr. Sohinder Gill, who is a global CEO at Hero Electric, and also is an official spokesperson at Society of Manufacturers of Electrical Vehicles. And I would like to really thank him for joining us, because he's calling from Canada, and it's 5 a.m. So just let's give
thank you
for waking up so early, just for our call. So Mr. Sohinder, and now we'll ask maybe two other speakers, and then I will give a floor to you. Yes, so we are actually discussing now about different points of view of different organizations, about challenges and opportunities, and also how the human-to-human relationship is important in their organizations. So maybe I will give a floor now to Subbu from NSEFI. So because we are speaking about wind, so let's say from the initial big player in renewables, and now I think, Subbu, you are making our wind colleagues jealous, yes, because now it's solar, which is becoming a huge player on the market. Yes, and just I didn't mention it at the beginning, but I started actually clean tech adventure almost 18 years ago in the European Solar Industry Association. So that's why I always have in my heart really cooperation with all the organizations, because I spent 4 years working from 2004 for clean energy at the European level. So Subbu, thank you so much, and big regards to Mr. Pranav Mehta when you will speak with him. So Subbu, so I know that in SAFE this human-to-human relationship is very important. Yes, and now you are very busy working on the policy work. So if you can tell us, yes, and how do you see also cooperation with our other colleagues happen in the country?
Oh, Thomas, thank you first of all very much for having me here. And it's not very often we talk to our counterparts or our like-minded associations. Although I don't want to rain on your parade, but many times than you can imagine, we meet with like-minded neutral industry bodies and sort of form an informal group and discuss about India's renewable sector. Debi is here, he will vouch for it. Colonel Ahuja is here, he will vouch for it. Last week, our DGs went and spoke at Siam event. They'll also vouch for it. So we are always, open with open hands. We welcome, associations which are actually working on ground to advocate policy at the interest of the country. And I'm very happy that today you have not only included the renewable energy sector, but you also included the electric vehicles, the automobiles, the blockchain. And this says something very strong, or rather a strong message is conveyed that the future is interlinked. There is nothing that can be viewed in isolation. There is nothing that can exist in its own space without interacting with others. Just like the human-to-human interaction that you're mentioning. Before I come to human-to-human interaction, I'll just take you quickly through some aspects our previous speakers have mentioned with respect to the opportunities and potential in the Indian solar market. And then I will conclude with the human-to-human thing. And I'll not take more than 3 to 4 minutes, because I'm sure there is a stellar list of panelists today, and I am more eager to hear them than to speak here. See, India, without any doubt, is a land of opportunities. And as India's largest and oldest and the premier umbrella solar organization, we really pride ourselves in saying that India's success story when it comes to renewables, especially solar, is something that can be taken as inspiration across the world. Popli Saab has mentioned in the beginning of his remarks about how Africa is the new HubSpot and how other countries should learn from Indian learnings. And we very much relate to that. We have a very, very robust and comprehensive international cooperation, and we want our counterparts to learn from us, not only what to do, but also what not to do. When it comes to the way India's proliferation for solar happened, it doesn't need any mentioning. We have increased our capacity 10 times in 8 years. From world's 42nd largest country in terms of installed capacity, we are now 5th largest country in terms of installed capacity in a span of 8 years. We are now 4th largest market for 4th largest country in terms of wind capacity, in terms of RE capacity. We were world's 3rd largest market for solar. Thanks to COVID, we have been now pushed down to number 7. Vietnam, Italy, Germany have taken our spots. But we are very much confident that by the end of this year and next year, early next year, we'll bounce back to being number 3. But India still remains the most attractive hub spot for our investments. We are clocking somewhere around 25 to $30 billion of our investments, and out of them 60% are only coming via or coming to solar. So this is how you can see India's solar market's growth and the current potential. There are so many problems. Those are the reasons why I don't get more than 4 hours of sleep. We fight with government, we argue with them, we sit on the same table with them. But one thing is very clear, that the government is very receptive to whatever we say. At the same time, they are very, very rather concerned, I would say, about the installations, about the India's RE growth, and I have never seen a government more serious than this one when it comes to increasing RE proliferation in our energy basket. Now coming to the future, you asked in your beginning, in the beginning of your remarks, that what are the kind of future problems you're looking at, and I have only 3-word mantra, that is FAT, FAT. If these 3 letters are considered, then everything will be hunky dory for all renewable energy sector. The F part is finance. You know, most of India's RE in India is 100% FDI. We have more foreign investors and foreign money influx into our RE industry than it has been for any industry in this stage. We have to leverage that. Access to affordable finance is something that doesn't need any mentioning, especially in solar. It will become a very, very important aspect when we want to upscale our installations. Someone was mentioning, I think Jami Hussein was mentioning that, you know, we might not achieve our target by 2022. It might be pushed to 2025, and I fully agree with it. But at the same time, we need influx of affordable capital into Indian ecosystem. An estimate says that only to realize solar generation capabilities of 300 gigawatt by 2030, we require $250 billion. And that's not a small figure. If we add transmission to it, add $120 billion more. That is $370 billion. If you add other infrastructure part of it, it will almost be $500 billion. So $500 billion is required only to ensure the infrastructure necessary to accommodate the 300 gigawatt of renewable energy comes into Indian ecosystem by 2030. That is 9 years and 4 months from now. So this is the kind of affordable finance we are looking at, and it should be affordable. It is without any doubt, unlike our other counterparts in the top 10 countries, we are the only country which has more than 90% of its installations coming from the utility scale than rooftop. Unlike Germany, Australia, or US, where at one point of time they had more than 40%, 50%. In Germany's case, 65 to 70% coming from rooftop. That is a sector that needs more, I would say, nourishing and pampering when it comes to how we look at our 2030 goals. The A part of it is pretty straightforward and simple. That is the accountability part. You know, having a policy, having a regulatory framework, everything is good. But if there is no accountability when it comes to implementation of it, when it comes to the operations of it, when it comes to the management of it, then all our efforts are in vain. There have been some very unfortunate incidents in the Indian solar journey over the last 2 years. Andhra Pradesh with renegotiation, Punjab now starting to do, Gujarat has cancelled, Punjab has cancelled. These are the things I mean, it will be an understatement to call them even black swan events, because black swan comes once in a while. But this has become an epidemic or a pandemic, I must say. And these are something that need to be addressed. Curtailment, on the other hand, is a very, very big issue. Curtailment of renewable power. Yesterday, we have won a very landmark case in the India's Appellate Tribunal of Electricity. The Appellate Tribunal has now ruled that every unit curtailed should be compensated at 75% of tariff. This is a huge win for Indian solar sector. At NSEFI, we have been working on this case for last 5 years, and we are very happy that it ended the way it did. The last part, which is the T part, can be distributed into 2 parts. One is a technology, second is a transmission. I'll talk about transmission and then go to technology, which is of course self-explanatory. People often say there is no transition without transmission. And that is the case with India also. When we are looking at energy transition, when we want to have 40% of our energy mix coming from renewable energy sources by the end of this decade, the transmission infrastructure is something that is ultimately should be taken care of, or is of utmost importance. Government has come up with the green corridor. They are providing some kind of incentives to the transmission players, of course, along with the generation players. But we need to have a robust transmission infrastructure to accommodate renewables, which are generally coming from intermittent sources of energy. Storage will augment the intermittency, but the infrastructure, of course, is necessary. Technology part, I will be the last person to talk about technology here. We have so many experts here on this panel, and I leave it to them to talk about it. So these are the 3 particular aspects that, according to us, are very important. Coming back to human interactions, Thomas, you know it better than everyone else how we are always stronger together. At NSEFI, we find we look for any or every opportunity to capitalize on human-to-human interactions. We work with our closely with other associations, other counterparts of us in different countries to ensure that our collective wisdom may prevail into some better judgments or a better way of handling things. Having said that, we are very happy to, or rather privileged to extend support to CBC's activities or erstwhile SBC's activities in India. I come bearing regards of our chairman, Sri Pranabhai Mehta, to all the panelists, especially Dr. Pillai, Mr. Hussein, Colonel Ahuja, Thomas, of course, and Devi ji. He's actually in Los Angeles now. He was very, very interested and enthusiastic to join the discussion. But them being at Pacific Standard Time, it was difficult for him to join. But I'm very much looking forward to looking forward to see these kind of events and get together sessions in the future. We'll be very happy to host all of you once things get back to normal in our office for a very nice and sumptuous Gujarati Pranabhai Mehta's meal. So thank you very much, everyone. Over to you, Thomas.
Okay, thank you so much, Subbu. I think you should extend your 3 letters. You should add age, yes? Human. Don't forget about this, yes. So I would like to now give a floor to Mr. Resh, who is representing a Smart Grid Forum, but also the organization of Global Smart Grid Organization. So Mr. Resh, I would like to give the floor to you. So you are a big networker, yes? So about human to human, I think we agree on that. But Subbu was mentioning about this infrastructure, yes? And actually the infrastructure and the smart management of all the e-mobility or all the energy sector and actually artificial intelligence, everything will come together, yes, to one point at the end, and it has to be managed in some way. So could you elaborate on that, and also how do you see our cooperation together?
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for inviting me, Thomas. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of this August forum and talking about energy transition in India. According to the latest IEA, International Energy Agency projection, by 2030, Indian power system is expected to be 823 gigawatt, which is more than doubling. Out of that 823 gigawatt, 450 we have the target to bring in from renewable resources. And by 2040, the numbers are even bigger. It's again going to double, which is 1584 gigawatt is the projected growth size of Indian power system. And out of that, 869 gigawatt is from solar plus wind. So when they estimate the maximum flexibility needed in anywhere in the world for a grid is in the Indian grid, 85% of flexibility, and which is a very, very difficult task to manage. Last year, we have shown that when our Prime Minister said that on 5th of April, 9 p.m., 9 minutes, we should switch off the light. So we have successfully demonstrated we could do 25% flexibility. About 32 gigawatt of load came down, and within 15 minutes, we ramped up again. So, but that involved 1 week notice the Prime Minister had given. So week-long planning by all grid operators to achieve that flexibility without problem, 25% reduction and ramping up. But when you look at 2030, 2040 flexibility need, it's going to be much more. It's an hourly, daily need, and the grid need to be redesigned. Presently, India Smart Grid Forum, we, along with other global experts, we are working on a paper which will talk about how we can achieve this flexibility of 85%. And there are some very revolutionary ideas and concepts which we are this will be published in November actually at our distribution utility meet. And more work need to be done actually in the distribution grid, which ideally, traditionally was not designed for two-way power flow. Our present grid, which is the 20th century concept of electricity flows in one direction, and which is no longer valid. So today in the distribution grid, at least there is two-way flow of electricity. That architecture need to be changed. new technologies, new systems need to be there. Otherwise, this level of renewable energy, we will not be able to integrate onto the Indian power system. So we are already out of time, so I wouldn't get into what are this about 12, 14 different concepts and ideas and technologies we will be discussing in detail about this redesigned grid architecture of the future. So wait for our paper in November. So I look forward to working closely with this club, which you are Clean Tech Business Club, and your activities. Will be happy to contribute and participate. Thank you. I stop here.
Thank you so much. And now let's give a floor to Canada. So once again, big thanks, yes, that you made it. And we had already Mr. Prashant, who was representing the car manufacturers organization. He was mentioning us about all this transformation which is happening within the organization related to the electric cars coming to the market. And you are representing the organization actually of the actual electrical vehicles, yes, manufacturers. And you are CEO, global CEO of Hero Electric. So I would like to ask you from your perspective, how do you see, because you see we cannot build the cars and to sell the cars when we don't build the infrastructure, yes? We cannot build the infrastructure with fossil fuel, because we should supply this with renewable energies, yes, to be 100% clean, let's say, in the whole value, in the whole transformation of the country. So I would like to ask you how because at Hero also you have your other sectorial divisions. So I would like to ask you, how do you imagine the cooperation, and what is the importance of human-to-human relationship within your organization?
Thank you. I have been in this Hero for 14 years and also head of association for 12 years. So I've seen this, the way we have passed through in electric vehicles from almost zero policy support to a full policy support, like Subbu is saying, very proactive government support in the last 1 or 2 years. And that is leading to increased interest in investments, as well as in a sort of an exponential growth, which we are sitting on in the electric vehicles. But within electric vehicles, today we are a very small pie, all put together in the country today, including two-wheelers, three-wheelers, cars and buses. There are less than 1.5 million vehicles. And every year we are adding only 200,000 or maybe 300,000 vehicles only. And cars are not there still. And cars are supposed to be the real consumer of electricity here. Today, what is proliferating is two-wheelers, which is also the government's idea, because they think that two-wheeler is easy to do, and India is a country of two-wheelers. Three-wheelers called e-rickshaws, they are themselves, like without any much of support also, they are making a business sense. So a lot of people are buying individually three-wheelers and trying to make some business out of it, trying to get some income out of it. So you would find a lot of proliferation of even contraptions which are not really good on the road, but they are working well from point to point, last mile connectivity, and making it electrified. On the buses front, it is a government agenda. So they are time and again trying to do many ways and means of motivating, incentivizing, or pushing state governments, state transport unions, undertakings to convert to electric. But there is a lot of lack of finance there. Most of the STUs are sort of bankrupt, and it is very difficult for them to have this type of upfront cost of electrification of their fleets and also run it profitably. Last to the cars, which will surely happen and which has started happening on a premium end, because that is where the infra support is not so much required. Today, one needs a car which has a confidence of an intercity drive. So that's why you would find cars which are upwards of 20 lakh rupees or something, to maximum of around 15 lakhs upwards. They are beginning to just enter into Indian space. But in times to come, I think we are waiting for a car and an infrastructure support together and a clean energy at the back end, which can create a common man's car, which is around 10 lakh rupees or so. And that day would be perhaps 3 years or 4 years from now, when we can see enough of those cars in sufficient quantity on the Indian roads to be able to make a dent into electrification of electric. But coming back to policy support, the government, learning out of its previous mistakes, has been so proactive in interfacing with industry now that time and again, we sit through, not really across the table, but with them to understand each of those issues and then find solutions. The recent policy changes in the government, which came around 1.5 months back, they are the real index of what's going to happen in future. And this policy change is to do with, first of all, adoption. The customer adoption is a mindset, and that's where human-to-human interface can be taught. Because for a particular two-wheeler, we have 40, 50 years of history of world-class two-wheelers in petrol. For that customer to change to electric, what do you need to do? You need to bait him, you need to incentivize him, you need to make him understand that it is good for his pocket and good for the country. And that's what has happened. Suddenly, the government has opened the coffers. They have increased the subsidy to 1.5 times, and that has led to the sticker price being so affordable in electric two-wheelers that most of the electric two-wheelers are now costing much less than the petrol version. And that is why we are seeing for the last 2 months now a huge adoption curve in the high-speed category, similar performing electric two-wheelers. And that is one day is going to explode. I'm saying in around 12 months or now, you will find we will have a sizable percentage of around, starting with around today 0.5% to going upwards around 10% in 3 to 4 years of petrol two-wheelers will become electric. So all put together, this is just a beginning of thinking about clean energy at the back. It's hardly any consumption today. These are only 2 kilowatt hour contraptions, two-wheelers today, totaling around 150,000 per year. But the day it becomes those 10%, and three-wheelers are added, cars are added, buses are added, that is the time when we will need some sort of a support at the back, which is going to be either dirty or clean, depending on how do we work at the back end. And that's why perhaps there is a thinking that has to happen, that as the exponential growth happens, as the curve goes up, in tandem with that, are we able to create that support of charging infrastructure first, and behind that, the clean energy support? And that's somewhere there is a missing link today. There is no continuity or contiguity between the energy producers and the electric vehicle industry. And even on the policy front, there is a loose connection, but perhaps there is no such real projection or calculation of how much electric vehicles will really consume 10 years from now or 5 years from now. There are so many guesses being said that if electric cars in Delhi, for example, if they're charged together, Delhi will collapse, the grid will collapse. The normal grid will also collapse. So what do we do for that? So it means that a lot of thinking has to go into distribution and generation, both. And that is perhaps where there is a need of such like forums, such like getting together and understanding from each other which way India is going, which way the consumption is going, and which way we should go together to make it really end-to-end zero polluting transformation, not only at the front end, which is doing its job. Tailpipe emission is going to create healthier India, but it will be truly zero polluting when we have a clean energy at the back. So great to listen to all of you guys and have the thoughts later on getting together to see that have a joint plan to talk to government, talk to policymakers, and talk to other organizations to work together, to run together in this field, which has suddenly become so interesting for India, and which is certainly going to change the shape of the mobility in India in times to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sohinder. And just a very important note here, because in the club, we are not dealing with the policy, yes, because we agreed that we don't make competition to organizations. So we are like a facilitator, yes. So just that everybody here in the room knows that we are here for you guys to bring you on the personal level. And then, of course, you can cooperate together between you on the institutional level. Because I believe that through the human-to-human relationship, we can build also this closer institutional relationship at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sohinder. And now I would like to ask Mr. Monish, who is chairman of Confederation of Biomass Energy Industry. and also Managing Director of Punjab Renewable Energy Systems. So already it was mentioned that they are already cooperating together with the car manufacturing organizations. So I think that you see already this kind of cooperation already exists. So dear Monish, so can you tell me from your perspective, from your industry, who was also one, I think, of the first renewable industries which came to the market, yes, before solar, even I believe before wind. And how does it look, this relationship, human to human in your organization? And how do you imagine we can work together?
Thanks, Thomas. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all industry members here on the call. So this Confederation of Biomass Energy Industry of India, CBII, is a recent body. We are in our infancy in the first year, and this has come about by the joint thought process of the biomass, bioenergy industry stakeholders in India. And this starts from the farmers themselves. So the farmers, the farmer producer organizations, aggregator companies of biomass, technology solution providers from India or overseas, and taking the entire biomass or the bioenergy value chain to various forms of energy. Uniquely, this is a form of energy which kind of moves from the electricity market, where there is a scope of biomass energy or putting those electrons in the grid, and to be able to bring the grid stability aspects which were alluded earlier. It could be from the other renewable sources, which are erratic in nature by virtue of how they are generated. So here is an option to bring the stability aspect. But even today, if you look at the statistical number of energy usage in India, on the electricity component, we are at about 17 to 18% of our 100% energy mix basket. So what biomass allows is to look at the larger chunk of the 87, 88% of the energy mix basket. And that's where our engagements with SAM, our engagements with hybrid solutions of energy, it could be solar biomass hybrid, biomass wind hybrids, and also ultimately when you're looking at electricity as battery charging, as you're looking at electric vehicle solutions, I think the entire paradigm requirement is about clean energy. And while we can say that, yes, electric scooter, electric bus, green hydrogen, all of it is clean, where's the certification of that electron being clean? And I think in a country like India, we are predominantly, and we have to admit it, that we are a coal-based electricity generating economy. And for us to catch up for the shift with the energy costs is going to be very difficult. So the first space is to recognize the problem statement, and I think that's half the battle won. So what can we do to decarbonize our country, decarbonize our economy? And I think if we focus on a couple of percentages towards the 88% energy mix, we might be able to achieve more than what we are attempting to achieve in the 18% energy basket. So here is biomass or bioenergy, which allows various other types of biofuel to come into the play. And the government has got sensitized to that. We have the Satat scheme for the compressed biogas alternative from biomass, wherein we are looking at the replacement of CNG with compressed biogas or bio-CNG. We are looking at this compressed biogas being injected into the gas grid. It is also now a viable substitution for LPG. There is also a program, which is the biofuel program under the Ministry of Petroleum, where there is the E20, which Honorable Prime Minister on the World Environment Day has kind of pushed the country to prepone that program. So we have our E20 target in place, preponed by 2 years, and hence it opens up a space for the blending of ethanol to happen with petrol, or motor spirit as we call it. And we are pushing on the existing space to bring it up. And what's the existing space? It is the sugarcane molasses route. So in the last 6 years, our country average of ethanol mixing has gone up from 1.5% to currently at 8%, which in itself is huge. Our government has realized that even if we continue the sugar molasses route, we would at best be at about a 10% number. So we need to do more. And now with the surplus grain, government has allowed ethanol from grain. Government has allowed ethanol even from sugar. And the increase is going to come from the biomass route, so which is the second generation ethanol route or the drop-in fuel route. So that is also being done. I think India has made a statement where there are 12 projects which are large-scale biorefineries being set up by the oil marketing companies, and these are the government oil marketing companies. If you look at globally, the number of projects globally are in single digits, whereas India has embarked to actually put capital in technologies which are yet getting developed, to be a front leader in the global market, to bring the technologies here. These are European technologies, US technologies, and also homegrown Indian technologies, and opened up the market for the blending to happen. And like the previous speakers alluded, I don't think we will stop at E20. Few honorable ministers have already started talking about flex engines, E100. So yes, there is a roadmap which is getting pushed. So the CBI is about bringing the stakeholders, and hence we do participate with industry bodies and bring forward the viewpoint of all stakeholders, the manufacturers, EPC companies, consultants, the big four, all of them are part on this platform. This is also the first platform in India on the biomass bioenergy space. Unfortunately, until this came about, we didn't have such a platform. I'm privileged to be the first chairman at CBI, and I think thanks to the industry for pushing me to take up this role, which I took up for the first year. And hopefully, we want to be part of the Clean Tech Business Club to be able to contribute positively to various thought processes. Just to share about this segment and about me and my company, we work as a biomass supply chain management aggregator company in India, and we are the market leader in this space in the last decade. Only yesterday, we made our Series C global announcement of Japanese Mitsui investing as a strategic investor in our company. We have the oil and gas major Shell as an equity investor, which we had announced in exactly 2 years ago in 2019. So we are able to attract global capital into this space as equity capital. And I think Mr. Popley is here, and a big salute to him. He was the first person as CMD IREDA, where he looked at my company and he funded us for one of the first innovative projects in India, which did not even have RE recognition from the ministry itself. So we were able to do a project which used biomass to sell energy to an industry on a B2B segment, but nobody recognized the project as a RE project because it was not in the energy mandate of ministry. So the ministry is called as Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, but unless that energy was an electron as electricity, there was no mandate. And that is where the interaction of bodies like this need to come up to tell them that when we are looking at a paradigm shift of energy, you can not only talk about electrons, but you need to talk about the entire spectrum of energy. And I think those initial years where IREDA recognized this, IREDA stepped forward to change their article of association to recognize other forms of energy. Ministry recognized this. And today, we are an energy utility service provider company in India. There are many more such companies which are coming up. And I think that's what we would like to participate and bring to the stakeholders, that let us look at energy. Yes, we need to do electricity and we also do that, but in other forms of energy as well. And this would also take space in the sustainable aviation fuel market, because we need to decarbonize our airs as well. We need to ensure that the clear blue sky programs, which we all talk about for the present generation, which numbers are there put by the US associations, European associations, about health, about GDP, or about economy, where we lose $30 billion of a year because of Delhi going black. Unfortunately, we talk about Delhi because the global embassies and high commissioners sit out of there. But what about Madhya Pradesh, which has the second largest farm fires after Punjab, but nobody talks about Madhya Pradesh and the people of Madhya Pradesh, the population of India. Nobody talks about Uttar Pradesh. Nobody talks about other states. So it's a global problem. And hence we need to look at it as a global solution to recognize and bring biomass and bioenergy to the equal footing that has been received by a national solar mission, by a national wind mission. And only recently, couple of months back, there is a public announcement of a national biomass mission by Ministry of Power. So the announcement has been made, but the contours of the scheme are yet to be written, and committees are now getting formed to write those. So I think this is where associations like the Clean Tech Business CEOs Forum should participate to elude about what this new national biomass mission should look like, and take it ahead. So these are my initial thoughts and comments. Thanks so much for inviting me. A pleasure to be here.
So thank you so much, Belmont, for attending, and thanks, Mr. Popli, for financing him at the beginning. So I
chased him and persuaded him for a couple of years, 3-4 years. Finally, he had to relent.
I would like to now give a floor to Guraf from Indian Biogas Association. And afterwards, we will give a floor to Debbie. And then we will make a final question to Raj Kapoor from Blockchain Alliance, who was listening and also will give us some thoughts how to introduce blockchain in our different industries. So Guraf, thank you so much for waiting, and give you the floor.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to meet all the eminent speakers over here. I think it's one of the rare chances where you see so many stalwarts together. So I'm happy to share my views, especially from Indian Biogas Association side. So I would like to be short. I think we don't have much time anyways, but I would like to be concrete because I think much have already been spoken by other speakers. And always when we talk about any project, we put it under 3 different verticals. That is the technical vertical, financial, and social vertical. So in fact, the human to human, what you're talking is quite interesting. So this comes in under social vertical for us. And all the time we say, especially in a country like India, it's a relationship-driven society. Even though you have all the system in place, then also it's a relationship which really works. So when you talk about the whole supply chain in India especially, believe me, you can have all the contracts in place, you can have all those intricacies in place, but ultimately what really works is this human touch, the human-to-human interaction, you can call it. So this social engineering in a positive manner is something which we really emphasized. Otherwise, a lot of projects have failed in the past, especially when you, let's say you did a contract for some X amount of money for the raw material, but as soon as the seller sees that you're making money out of it, or you're really, or at least he has got this perception that you're, minting money out of his raw material. So the social dynamic changes. So this needs to be thought beforehand, not afterwards. Not only that, especially if you talk about the projects like biogas, there are a lot of nuisance that can be created afterwards, so-called. So you need to be prepared beforehand. So that's why whenever we talk about any project, or when we take the feasibility study, we try to make sure that technicalities are in place. And I think in today's scenario, if you don't have the technology in your country or something, we can get the suitable technology. Again, I would like to underline or emphasize this word suitable because every country has got its own ecosystem, especially in a country like India. Of course, we need to keep quality in check. We need to do a lot of other homework, but ultimately, job creation is something which is very important. You need to train people. You need to have the right mind frame. You really need to have the right ecosystem. But again, the state of the art technology is not something which India needs all the time. That's why whenever we talk about the project, we try to emphasize that a proper feasibility, again, the technical feasibility, financial and the social feasibility, this have to be done so that we can really cherish the success together. And once again, there's a lot of difference between product and project. Here we are talking about the project, especially when you talk about the large-scale biogas plant. These are not the product. These all are the projects. So that is something which is very important when you compare with, let's say, solar photovoltaic. Of course, ultimately that will also be a project, but here over there we can still talk about some standardized product, which we are trying now in the biogas field as well, to be exact. So very soon we are coming up with some standards which can be really enforced in India so that we have something to compare. And I'm also happy to hear, by the way, this blockchain thing you're talking, because our association, we are very much into blockchain, and I would like to really hear, in fact, I look forward because this tokenization is something which you can do. And especially this peer-to-peer thing, this is something is very exciting for us personally. And that is something where we are heading for. In fact, we have got one app called Biogas app at Google Play Store. Now we are launching the upgraded version in, I think by 15th of August in India. And further on, we are also integrating a lot of things in that based on the blockchain. So you need to have all this nodes in place. So that is something we are looking forward for. But now coming back to the original scenario as far as the biogas is concerned. So when you talk about the supply chain, the whole raw material, so there is one big misconception normally, and that is something I would like to emphasize over here. There's a lot of difference between availability and availability to us. And that's why we always say that, okay, this X amount of biomass might be available in that area, but is it available to you for the right price, within the right time frame, and with the right quality? I think this is where also a big business opportunity lies as far as the aggregators are concerned, as far as a lot of the people are concerned, that they can ensure that when you talk with any industry, they can really supply the right raw material with all this boundary condition whatsoever is required by the industry. So that is something which will be a big thing. And apart from this, again, now coming to the technology part, technology, as I told you at the beginning, is something which I don't think there is any lack of technology. What is lacking is the optimum or optimal technology as per the local scenario, because many times when you talk about rural India or even the rural India, in fact, we can call it, the scenario is different. Maybe the electricity is not available there all the time. So you need to generate the captive power. Maybe some other infrastructure is not existing, like road, etc. So you need to really pay attention to this and all this kind of thing. But India is really, blessed with a lot of agricultural waste, especially when you talk about paddy straw, when you talk about many other agricultural waste as such. At present, we are doing one project with the World Bank as well, in order to really streamline all this supply chain thing in India and try to ensure that the Satat, which we already heard, which is being launched by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, that it really can see a success. And this is where we are working at present as well. And hopefully this will get a proper push, not only from the government side, but also from all other like-minded people, because what we really need a right push from the whole system, and so that the market pulls it. Again, the pull factor has to be there, because this is again one of the things where Indian Biogas Association is really very vocal about, is that this push we always talk, but the pull factor we forget it. The pull factor, if pull factor is not there, then we need to be very clear from the beginning itself. This is not a typical business model. This is a subsidy-driven business model. Again, technically, perhaps I can't even call that as a business model sometimes. But nevertheless, that is something which we need to be very clear about, the pull factor. Now, coming to the whole value chain and connecting the dots, if we really go to the market introduction part, so Satat is something which really ensured at least the CBG part, the gas part of the biogas plant can be taken care. OMCs will buy that, but the manure part is still missing. And the pandemic has really, shown that we all would like to really opt for organic food, let's say. I know in Europe, the organic almost became a fashion, in fact, and in India also. And organic was nothing new for India. In fact, when you talk 100 years ago, let's say, organic was something which was available everywhere, in fact. Somehow it got into our system in a very different manner. But nevertheless, let's not go into philosophy, because when we go into philosophy, many times we say that the renewable is called as non-conventional. If you really see, this is the only conventional thing which we have from thousands of years. In fact, it's the petrol, diesel, etc. These are non-conventional. After the advent of crude, only we started talking about it. But nevertheless, this all philosophical thing plays a big role in our thinking as well. But nevertheless, coming back to the manure part, this is where we need a proper push as well when you talk from the Indian scenario. Fortunately, we got all the technicalities in place from the manure side. Otherwise, earlier, the government of India, there are many departments, they were not on the same page, especially when you talk about the organic manure coming from biogas plant. And so this is a big success from our side when you talk about the solid as well as the liquid manure. The market is still something which is not streamlined, but we are very, very hopeful. As I told you, that we all need organic food. We want at least to get the organic food, you need organic fertilizer, right? And to get the organic fertilizer in bulk, how much composting can you do? You need to opt for the biogas plant. So this is inevitable that the biogas plant will see the success. The biomanure as such coming from biogas plant, but the proper framework is missing right now, and the pull factor is missing from the market side. So we see a big hope and the big business opportunities over there, which can be streamlined from the market perspective. And so just trying to compile, because I think I already took almost 10 minutes or something. So we are very hopeful from the technical side, from the financial side. A lot of governmental schemes are coming, and we are in direct communication with them. And fortunately, we see a very positive move also from the business side. So we are very, very hopeful that India will go places as far as bioenergy and biogas in particular is concerned. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dilgurav. And I think that what is interesting to say that actually we are changing the whole paradigm of the country, which means not only energy sector, not only transportation, but also the people's habit, yes, and the whole, let's say, the culture of the society. So thank you so much. And I would like to now give the floor to Debbie from International Energy Storage Association. And the last speaker will be Rush from Blockchain Alliance, who is listening, very carefully, yes, so he can give his opinion to all of us. So Debbie, thank you. I give you the floor. And also I would like to thank you for our recent partnership that we made together with you. So we will work already together between Cleantech Business Club and you. So Debbie.
Thank you, Thomas. And so it's the India Energy Storage Alliance. So we have international ambition through World Energy Storage Day, but focusing on Indian market, actually we've grown only through the human-to-human connect. Like most of the advance and technology space is energy storage. 8 years back when we used to speak in similar conferences, there was very few audience are interested to listen about energy storage and batteries. And apart from us, there was no one talked about batteries. It's good, but over the time, everyone is talking about battery and energy storage, electric mobility, and green hydrogen as becoming the talking point in most of the events. And how it's this human-to-human connect step up the market. Like in last 7 years, we have not only worked on the market creation, like driving the adoption of energy storage, but also worked on the research and development side. Now in next 10 years, we expect few unicorns will come up in the energy storage, BMS, energy management system. The reason is that we are also working with different universities, different research labs for the new advanced technology development. And the government bodies like DST and DISR, they're working on the same. And apart from the research and market development, there is major part is the supply chain and manufacturing. So recently under the PLI program, which is government is came up after 30 years for the auto components and 20 years for the solar industry, that came up within 8 years for the advanced energy storage. It only came up through the support of the industry. Because when we started this association, Confederation, now it is more than 150. All the members are univocal, unidirectional intention to the government. It may be state government, it may be central government. Everyone want to be incentivized all technology as a technology neutral platform. In this process, there are different companies had different views, but as an association, everyone came up to the similar points and similar thought process that helped actually to accelerating this industry. Not only in India, because India may not have some of the raw materials. India, because giving the example of across the globe, most of the gigafactories are in China or Europe, which is new building up. But they don't have also too much raw materials. Raw materials are in the Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. But the cooperation made in this way, like some countries may have the rich raw materials, some countries may have the manufacturing ecosystem, some countries may have the adoption. So India should be part of this ecosystem, which ISA worked for last 8 years. And we know raw material may not be in India, but the chemical processing can happen in India. And in the manufacturing ecosystem, if maybe big companies can enter into the large scale gigafactories, but small companies can go for the component manufacturing. So we know how these companies can leverage this ecosystem. And in the application side, as energy storage is a Swiss knife. It is not only for India, for across the globe. From electricity, from the grid stability, from the renewable applications, from electric mobility, from behind the meter applications or power electronics, everywhere it is required. So we tried to, as part of ISA, we collaborated with most of the country alliances from China, Germany, US, Europe, Canada, Australia, Korea, and we try to take the technology, what is already happened there. Giving example of our collaboration with Israel and the Finergy, which we assisted them on the technology due diligence and the partnership developed, in the Indian Oil now investing more than 300 crores in that. Yesterday, we did a roundtable with Canada. There was 8 companies from Canada on the green hydrogen and e-mobility and energy storage space, including the recycling they are planning for India. So as an advanced technology space, we are not working on the current state, also working on the future, which is on the recycling side, on the standard side, on the safety side, and the second life of batteries. Because if you will not address this concern at this point of time, it may be a bottleneck after 5 years. So what we did in 2013, and that made the result now, we are doing the similar activities at current stage, which will actually give the result after 5 years. And it is possible through the support of all the other associations and industry players. Yes, it takes time from 5 to 150 members. Everyone need to understand the ecosystem, how it develops. But when they understand as a system or as a collaboration, it is better to grow than they comes to the platform. We thank to all other partners who are there here, like including SIAM, NSCFI, ISGF and others. We collaborated many times. Like we created joint papers, we created joint task force, we worked on different auto applications. So that made, and that is the way to go ahead. Otherwise, there will be different, just giving example, like if different people tie a rope from different sides, it will not move in any direction. If everyone put a rope in one direction, then it will go faster and the speed will increase. Similar way, thanks to all the stalwarts who have mentioned about the Indian clean tech industry, which includes both energy and mobility, and with their support and with the industry support, definitely will improve. It's not only India, also for the across the globe, it happens. And we just giving that example, we have initiated a initiative called World Energy Storage Day 5 years back. There is only 5 countries who are supporting that. Last year, first time Australia supported as a host country. This year, we are getting 10 countries, including Prime Minister Office from India, who want to host this World Energy Storage Day. So in long run, it will be a movement started from India, similar to Earth Day on 22nd September, which is a global movement. So human to human touch and collaboration is the only way for any clean tech industry to grow, and creating a business for the, because business should not be the first step. It is the ultimate step. First, you create a market, create appropriate policy, give a chance to play. It may be one company, it may be other company. They will get business at the end. Thanks, Thomas, for your support.
Thank you so much. And as at the beginning, let's say the biggest issue was storage. Now we are coming with better storage solutions, but I think that the next huge driver will be also new financial models and also blockchain. Yes. So I would like to give a floor to Rash, and thank you, Rash. I know that you are actually normally you should leave before, yes, but I asked you especially to be the last speaker because you could listen from other industries and then to propose solutions for all of us. So Rash,
well, it was really wonderful actually listening to everybody. It was an education for me as well. It's always nice, so many different bodies, so many different renewable energies, so many opportunities. And I'm going to keep it a little brief because unfortunately I got to step out for a meeting, but I'd love to put my 2 cents right now. We can have different meetings as we go. There are so many of these. You know, when I've been in blockchain now for 11 years now, almost 11 years. I went for the Bitcoin, so that's the speculation part, but I stayed back for blockchain, and that's the revolution. So a lot of us confuse. I teach in a lot of colleges and universities, and this is the first thing which comes up. And one of the things I keep talking about is renewable energy, because I'm working on several projects myself. Unfortunately, not many in India. I've been working in the space for some time, yes, and I believe that there's a macro level where blockchain can actually make a major impact, and then there's a micro level. I work very closely with governments in Africa, for example. Africa is a very, very positive. I've got a lot of positive response from Africa. I'll just mention some of the things we are doing, and then of course one of the things which I would like to say, because we have such a lot of bodies, I don't know why we don't have yet a common blockchain where there's a lot of information that can actually be stored and accessible to all bodies instead of all duplicating efforts. There are a lot of duplicated efforts, and I feel blockchain can actually come around. Not just blockchain. Blockchain works with other technologies. It works with analytics, artificial intelligence, IoT. So we got a whole bunch of these, but they can all work in tandem. And the same way, all our bodies can work in tandem to have a common blockchain. That's what I would love to have at some point of time. And I've got my ideas on it. I've written a white paper on that, or for that matter as well. A couple of things which I see is a lot of immediate things which blockchain can do is apply from impacting a fantastic supply chain. Is I would say, of course, cost reduction, etc. That's fine. But I've done a lot of work in peer-to-peer energy trading. That's where blockchain can play a major impact. We can use, well, I'm doing an energy cryptocurrency for a couple of people. And that's another very big impact sector, because blockchain is not just an information technology, it's an institutional technology. And that's because it has the power to tokenize. It has the power to create communities. I'm working very closely with the community coin and creating community tokenizations for multiple communities, whether it is a Rohingya community, whether it is a community, universities. There's a consortium of universities which we're tokenizing, or which is industry bodies. I'm working with a couple of industry bodies outside India on how to tokenize the entire body itself. I'm also working on streamlining access to renewable energy through the blockchain. Payments, smart contracts, self-executing contracts, getting it on the grid, financing of energy access, wholesale trading through regional mini grids. These are just a few of them. I'll be happy also to share with everybody. I've got a couple of white papers written on different spaces. May not be covering all the spaces, but I have written a couple of them. One article I shared with you, Thomas, but that's just one article in a magazine. The others are white papers. So I believe that blockchain has the power to do a lot in terms of making, not only streamlining things, the principles of blockchain, immutability, decentralization, all these come in and make actually solutions which can work for the future, and real world solutions. I'm working with the government of Queensland's project on renewable energy. They've got solar panels, paver blocks, solar paver blocks for that matter. We're putting the entire thing on the blockchain. We're embedding it with IoT and then getting all the energies put up with the blockchain, so we can do better data modeling. They're in fact going to power the future highways for that matter. They're going to put the paver blocks right next to the highways, powering the entire airports, things like that. Working also with, by the way, also with the government of Malawi very closely. They have actually taken up my paper on how they could be putting their energy reserves as well as renewable energy reserves on the blockchain. Besides that, nothing to do with energy here, but they're also contemplating putting the marijuana crop on a proper blockchain supply chain. That's besides the point. It's nothing to do with this. That's a different form of energy. These are some use cases. Actually, there are so many more. Maybe a session, probably 45 minutes to 60 minutes would be much appropriate for this. But I would like to be telling the one thing, guys, a wonderful forum here. We all have identified a pathway to make the world a better place. And that technology is one. Mix it up beautifully with technologies like blockchain, analytics, IoT, and machine learning. We have fantastic pieces ready. I work very closely, not only in the blockchain space, but all these spaces, because all technologies and nothing can work in isolation. Not only can we work in collaboration, but even technologies can work in collaboration. Blockchain is the best umbrella around it. I'm happy to talk one-on-one whenever required, or at any other time on a much detailed platform. But for now, I'll be very, very happy to speak with you guys, not only now, but tomorrow again. I think we're all meeting. I'll share some more tomorrow. And I think we got to let everybody go now. It's almost 7. I guess a lot of guys want to push off. So I don't want to take too much time. More important, I'm very happy to meet everybody. And that's a great thing. That's what the intention was. I met you guys, and the conversation will continue, I'm sure. Thank you guys for now.
Thank you so much, Raj, very much. And how do you like our definition of H2H, human-to-human blockchain?
I love that. Blockchains, just like any other technologies, should speak with each other. There are so many different blockchains. The interoperability of blockchains and the interoperability of what all we are doing, and different segments, electric, biogas, there's so many of them, solar, all that is right now, they all need to speak to each other. That's what I was talking about, getting an interoperable blockchain in place. We need that grid. We need that gap. It's a huge gap right now. I'm telling you, from my whatever experience I have in this line, which is a lot in the blockchain space, not in the space where all of you are stalwarts in your space, but I think we can have a beautiful bridge. Blockchain can create that bridge. And not only can it create a bridge, it actually offers, I believe, real world solutions, not just fantastic case studies on paper, real world solutions for real world problems. And that's the tagline of my organization, also creating real world solutions for real world problems. And that's where we are. I think that can really do really well.
Thank you so much, Raj. So, Amit, I see that you want to kick us kick off from the meeting, but no, just before giving you the floor, okay, Amit, because we discussed with Mr. Popley and with Mr. Hitesh how we would like to continue, yes, because today, of course, we have not so much time to continue, but already I see we are all guys, H2H guys in the group, yes? And as we work with other players, so we have to be networkers, yes? So we, as I was mentioning, we are not, let's say, institutional organizations, yes? So we are well placed to connect people, not only in India, but also around the world. And we would like to provide you our platform to work together, yes? So first thing, you remember I sent you a message that we will create a WhatsApp group. But before our meeting, I said, no, maybe I'm not sure if you guys would like to be all connected. So I suggest that we'll create, first thing, the WhatsApp group to make follow-up on our meeting today, if you all agree, to be in the WhatsApp group. Second,
that is a good idea.
Second thing, we will organize a closed meeting, yes, between us within the next 1 or 2 months. But beforehand, we'll write you minutes from today's meeting with our ideas how to work together, yes, because always I like to work step by step, because when we make too big planning, at the end of the day, we are so overloaded, we have no time to follow up. We will make a brainstorm together with Mr. Popley and Mr. Hitesh from our side, how we would be able, to physically help you in organizing our network and activities. Another thing, in other countries, for example, we are creating like a German conclave, and also the conclave for people who are dealing with decision makers, yes? But also we are not like a lobbyist, but we are facilitating. And I believe that it could be great also to create this kind of conclave within our network for India. So do we have still, any few minutes just to make, if there is any thoughts from our leaders? or we are short of time?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm dropping off for the moment because
Okay.
I really.
So Raj, we meet tomorrow, yes? Because
yeah, definitely we meet tomorrow. I'm
and
traveling, so that's why I need to take a
I
test.
understand you are in.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys. And
Thank you.
free to
Thank you very
communicate
much.
one-on-one, sir, at any point of time. Please feel free. Thomas has got all my details anytime. Just reach out. Happy to help, not only individually, but collaboratively. We can do a lot of stuff. I am happy to be part of the whole thing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So do we have any 2 minutes? Just if there is any voice in the room. Okay. So is there any voice in the room?
Yeah, Thomas.
No,
I just wanted to just add here that so many technologies and so many different areas, or rather sectors also, which connect now in the context of renewable energy. It sort of is a new thing from just the renewable energy, which more like, if you realize it, it is more like convergence of many technologies. Because listening to Mr. Kapoor about blockchain, which he says can act like a bridge, this is an interesting area where we can maybe combine different technologies, and as we see, for example, wind energy can go very well with hydrogen or can go very well with desalination. So we can expand the markets, or can go very well with storage. So we can expand the markets by using this, or even transportation. And there is also a talk about this wind ship association. There is a wind ship association where they are working on ships that will drive by wind. So the sails are being done and the blades are being done like that. So that will also decarbonize the shipping industry. So all these things are new things. I feel that we are almost poised at a time where a lot of new things are happening.
Thank you so much. Any other voice? So we will make the minutes, and I believe that also you can have some sleep and think about what we were discussing today, and then we will make one table when you can put your thoughts from your own point of view of your organization, how you would imagine that we work together. Okay? Do you agree? Or
that is right, Mr. Thomas, I think. Great.
But I need first also always support of our chairman, Mr. Poppy, and Mr. Hitesh. So, Mr. Hitesh, are you okay also with this plan? Oh, let's see. But anyway, he was okay. And also in our club, you see, nobody is against me, so Mr. Hitesh will support. And I would like to ask just Mr. Prashant, yes, because he's busy with car industry. Oh, so Mr. Hitesh, so you support me, yes?
I think it's a very good, Thomas. It's a good initiative, and let's move with our common objective in mind.
Great. and dear Prashant, so you are full also to be part of the group, and then we'll be updating on you on.
Yes, sure.
Super. And last words to Hitesh, our chairman of the club in India.
Oh, thank you very much, and I think this was a great initiative, and I'm very happy to meet everyone online. And I think this will help everyone in all respects.
Okay, and also in the business, yes. It's also important to help our members in making more business. If the members have more business, then all the organizations are doing well. Thank you so much, and I give a floor to Amit, and I would like to thank you, Amit, once again. He was not sleeping. He was writing me at 4 a.m. Thomas, do you have this? Thomas, do you have this? But at the end of the day, everything went well. And, I cannot imagine better partners in India than Renewable Energy India and Informa and Amit and Rajesh.
Thank you so much, Thomas. So as Thomas has been saying, this was an excellent session, and it couldn't have been better, if Thomas wouldn't have been there. So an excellent session by CBC, and all the credit goes to Thomas for bringing in the best from across the RE sphere, along with human-to-human touch, Thomas. God's grace, we actually would want to meet and shake hands soon with one and with all. We at REI are privileged to have such supporters holding hands and converging together towards a sustainable world. Together, we stay stronger. I'm thankful to all the speakers who are stalwarts in their own fields, who have managed their time and shared their thoughts today with us. With this, we come to the end of day one of the knowledge sessions. Tomorrow, the day looks far brighter with many more interesting sessions starting at 11 a.m. Join us and dive into knowledge at REI E-Expo. Please also join us at REI from 15 to 17 September 21. Wishing health. This is Amit. Thank you all once again. Thank you, Tomas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you both, sir.
Thank you. See you soon. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you so
definitely.
much.